is talking about one of the things that this LGBTQ plus movement, one thing they say is that the Bible talks about Jesus and the disciple that he loved, and the disciple that he loved was a man. So Jesus must have been gay and a homosexual. And they say that because they don't quite understand what love is, how you can love somebody of the same sex but not be sexually attracted to them. And one of the reasons why Jesus loved John was that John was the youngest of the disciples. He was a little boy in the group at the time. And so Jesus took a special interest in him because of his age. Okay, so they kept referring to him as the disciple that Jesus said, but Jesus kept him close, so that he could teach him. He was not as old as his brother and Peter. And so we need to understand that about John. But Pastor Nico will continue to tell you about him, and we'll see the Christ through the eyes of John. Now, yes, we do have an anniversary. We say happy anniversary to the Maynards. Congratulations to you. You see, anniversary is important to celebrate because it means that God has kept you for another year, and you, especially both of you, would remember, go back to that day when you made your covenant, your vows before God, and now we get a chance to celebrate with you and that day and that event and that occasion. So congratulations to you both. Thank you for being a part of this ministry and part of our lives, and may God increase you and supply all your needs and keep you together for many more years to come. God richly bless you, Maynards. Okay, so let us continue. We have been looking over the past couple of weeks at the topic of giving, and we basically ended last evening on Thursday, our fellowship night, our communion fellowship night. We ended, but there's some things that I want us to go into and to discuss. But before I do that, I want to read this scripture on what I call the blessing of giving, 2 Corinthians chapter 9, starting from verse 9. And it says, as it is written, he has dispersed abroad. He has given to the poor. His righteousness endures forever. Now may he who supplies seed to the sower, and I want to pause here a second. He who supplies seed to the sower, once you are a sower, once you are a giver, he will supply the seed. Remember that. Some people say, I don't have anything to give. What am I going to give? And we make that excuse about not having much or not having enough or not having anything to give. But God says in his word here, once you are a sower, God will give you the seeds to sow. So he supplies seeds to the sower and bread for food. Supply and multiply. Paul is speaking now, saying, may he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food supply and multiply the seed that you have sown and increase the fruits of your righteousness, while you are enriched in everything for all liberality, which causes thanksgiving through us to God. So Paul was thanking them for giving. And he was saying, may God continue to bless you because you have given. And he will give you more to give. Those who do not give would only have what they have, and they may even lose that. But he who gives, God gives him more. He supplies seeds to the sower. So I wanted us to remember that when we talk about giving, and if I give this, I wouldn't have any more, God will supply. He will give. He will give you all that you need. All right? So I want us to get a little interactive tonight. I want us to talk a little bit tonight. I want some feedback tonight. Talk to me, family. I have some questions. I asked you one the last day, and I asked you to think about it. And I hope you didn't. I hope you have. And so I want to just, as we continue on the topic of giving for tonight, my first question is, And, you know, First Lady, but you'll tell me if anybody would have raised their hand, because I really cannot see from here, as you know. Should we give to people who already have? Should we give to people who already have? I recall 2 incidents. I believe I shared them with you, but just in case I didn't, or even if I did, let me share them again. Right in the church that we used to fellowship in, there was this pastor who came into the country, and he had a concert in the church. And no, he was going to have a concert in the church. He didn't have a concert yet, but he came to visit and to promote the concert. And while he was speaking, he took out all the money. He said, "This is all the money I have." He said, "Listen, this is good ground." And he took out all the money he had in his pocket, all the money he had in his wallet, and he put it in the hands of the pastor. And he said, "I'm sowing this into you because this is good ground." I recall another occasion, another pastor did the same thing while he was preaching. I don't remember what the topic was, but in the midst of it all, he demonstrated. He said, "I want to sow this into you. I'm going to give you all." And he took out every cent he had in his wallet. And he had it, it wasn't even folded neatly. He just took out everything. It was just a bunch of money, and he put it in the hand, of the pastor. And he said, "I want to sow this into your life." So my question to you is, and I just use those as an example, should we sow into those who already have, because it is, as we see it, good ground to sow into? Let me hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? No one?
No hands yet.
That's interesting. Come on, talk to me, somebody. We're just talking, we're just discussing, we're just throwing out some things. All right, because I believe it's going to help us. I believe that some of us have these questions that we ask, but we ask them silently, or maybe within our own inner circle, we ask these questions. So let's ask them openly. Sister Violet.
Good night, everyone. I don't know why I always have to talk, but anyway.
Yeah, part
of me. Here what happened, right? Now, when you make it a issue involve good grounds, somehow I feel it's a sort of a it's not given because God said to give, and it's not given because you feel led to do it. It's as if you are giving, saying, "I am only doing it because." Now, I don't think it is bad, because I wouldn't go in the natural and want to go and plant peas. Of course, not me really, right? But in Tobago, but I wouldn't go and plant peas where it will not grow, because that would not make any sense. Planting where what you would consider not good grounds. But the mere idea of saying it, I think it gives a connotation that you're doing it only because. But I don't really see anything wrong in saying I am planting here because it is good ground. Once your heart is the planting and not necessarily the grounds per se, except I wouldn't, as I said, I wouldn't plant on ground that I know won't grow. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Violet. Anyone else?
Dr. Richard, I want to agree with Sister Violet on that, because I think it comes like, if someone has, again, if we take it from the perspective of planting seeds, right? If I find that, your fruits are coming out good, what you plant there, it's big and it's fresh and it's healthy, I would say, you know what, let me plant some of my seeds here too, because something is going on in your soil and I want my fruits to prosper, and I think that's the perspective of people giving into somebody's life because they're saying, I want to sow my seed into good soil. I look at your life and I like what I see. So I want to give to you so that when it grows, I get back some of what you have. I think that's the perspective that I'm seeing it at. Sister Dawn, your hand was up.
Yes, I would ask, I would I would ask that with a question, right? Because what we have to do is to consider what is good grounds. And I think that is subjective because um I think sometimes you have to ask the Holy Spirit to show you if planting into this person's life is good grounds. I mean, how do you always know? You don't always know that that situation is a good place to plant seed, or if it is good soil. Sometimes you have to examine it, I suppose. I just asking a question with a question. Is
Thank
it?
you. Thank you, Sister Dawn. Anyone else?
Yes, Sister Jennifer.
Nice.
Hi.
I was told that nice and second night. I was told that when you sow into like a prophet's life, you will receive their blessings. Whatever is coming to them, you will get part of that. So,
Okay. Thank you.
We also have, right. So we have Sister Jiva.
Hi, good night. I think it is okay to give to somebody who have, and because sometimes, as you said that God, you to supply the seed to the sower. Well, we will give that person that seed. Sometimes we don't know what God will tell them to do with the seed when we give it, and sometimes when we say because it's good ground, it's not always because we are going to reap something or to get that blessing, but sometimes we see that person is a giving person. They just shared, we just see they going out in ministry and giving to the poor and to those things. So I think that is what it means sometimes. Well, at least from my perspective, if I'm giving and saying it's good ground, I see you helping people. You're not being mingy and stingy, you're sharing. So that is just my input.
Thank you.
Right. Sister Sherry.
Good evening, family.
Hi.
I was just looking at the question, if it is right to give to those that already have. And if we go back to even ancient times and the like when kings would go to visit or other kings, it was like a form of tribute, an honor to give gifts, right? And so I am saying it would depend on, the motive behind the giving. Because if you're honoring royalty, you're taking a gift, you're paying tribute they would be, overflowing, but yet it's a form of paying tribute. So in a case like that, I don't see anything wrong with giving to somebody who already has, once the motive is right.
Thank you, Sister Sherry. Anyone else?
Yes, we have Sister Violet.
Yeah, and that, the night again, one of the thought patterns that also came to me is that we mustn't make it our sole mission only to give to what we consider good grounds and stuff, because if we do that, then we won't really like be working, because even though I say that I know a ground may not be fertile, we also know that back to referencing you and Sister Sherry with the seed, since we're doing it because it's a command from God. Even if the soil seem in our natural look can't do anything, God could make something out of nothing, and that's supposed to be our mission. Not really, like saying I'm going to give you because you seem that whatever your hand touches will prosper, but this one don't do it. It could be that the person never get a proper good godly seed. And that's why you're not seeing the flourishing of that seed. Or it could be sometime where the person is planted, don't have enough water. So if you do something and dig up the, I think it's fallow grounds. So our mission should be to just give if we have to give according to the leading of the Holy Spirit. I really don't believe in willy-nilly giving on a natural day, but give. And then the whole joke and stop evaluating good, bad, indifferent. Because you're gonna get into trouble in my book. God will say just because I come there looking like a ruffian, you ain't give me nothing. And this one, because you have one jacket and tie, you give him, okay, go in hell and meet him. Sorry.
Thank you.
Sister Gemma.
Yes, good night, everyone. I want to agree with, I don't remember who said it. I don't know, Sister Violet. It depends on your motive for giving. God says to give, right? He did say give to the poor, but you give to others. And once the person has the right, once you have the right motive, you're not giving to get, in other words. So this person has a lot, and maybe if I give to that person, I will get back. No, your heart motive must be correct. So you're giving, because when with Elijah and Elisha was walking behind Elijah for years. And what he was looking, he wanted something from him. He said, give me a double portion of what is upon you. But he wanted it to serve God's purpose. So when you give it a good motive, and it's a good giving. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else? No?
No, sorry, doctors. I was just trying to no.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for all that you've shared. And I want to endorse what generally has been said. That is, what is your motive for giving? I cited two examples because in my mind, this is just in my mind, the motive was, let me sow into you because you're somebody. If I sow into you, you might sow back into me, which happened in one of the instances. I wouldn't say which one it was, but one of the instances where the person received a bountiful blessing because they sowed. The person said, well, since you sowed that into me, let me give you what you need. And they got the money. Why are we sowing? Now, there's nothing wrong with sowing into people who have. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Even as Sister Sherry talked about in the olden days, it was part of the protocol when they go before kings. You can't go empty-handed. Even kings didn't go before kings empty-handed. So that was part of the protocol. And even now, we ought not to come, like when we come to God, we don't come empty-handed. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about, we come prepared. So, your motive is important. You're given to those who have, yes. But secondly, you're not given to those who have at the expense of not giving to those who don't have. Because if you say, you know what, I can, and it comes back to motive again. If I give to this one, I might not get back anything, so that's not good ground. If I sow to them, the money will just go to feed them, and what do I get out of that? So that really speaks to your motive for giving. So I would say, in answering the question, there's no yes or no to it. It depends on your motive. It depends if you're led to. It depends on what the situation is at the time. Because if I go to church, the church may be doing well. Does it mean that I don't sow into the ministry? Of course I do, because sowing is for me as well. So you sow into the ministry, even though the ministry may have. And even if the ministry is flourishing, as somebody said, if you see good things are being done with the funds, you see evangelistic work being done, missionary work being done, you see the church is flourishing and prospering. Yeah, then your seed is adding to make the forest. So giving has to do with your heart motive. Why am I giving? Why am I giving? Am I giving because, in fact, let me not say that because it's another question I want to ask. But your motive for giving is important. Yes, you can give to those who already have, but if your motive is so that you can get back, then you're not really giving the right way. Okay? I want to ask another question. Well, I have several questions I want to ask. As I ask the question, do we give to those who already have? If you listen to a lot of television, there are a lot of televangelists who say, send money to me, give to me, I'm doing the work of the Lord. And, but you see some of them with several cars, and some of them have planes and helicopters, so they have. And yet they say, if you sow into me, God will bless you as he's blessing me. How do you feel about things like that? And I'm talking about reality. This is what is happening. They say, if you sow into me, sow into my ministry, the same way God is flourishing me, he will flourish you. God told me that I need an aeroplane to go from place to place to carry the word, to spread the word. So I'm asking you to give to me. What is your take on that one? All right, it's a spin-off from the first one. What is your take on that? Let's hear you. I know some of you have to think about it, but I know some of you have already been thinking about it because it's a question that you would have had in your mind for a long time.
Oh,
No
I
one?
love tonight. I love tonight.
You go ahead, Sister Violet.
I ain't giving none.
And why not?
Be clear what, if I have $3,000, right? I ain't going to buy no plane. I go and buy some rice and flour and sugar and give it to some hungry people. Let them eat. No, and I'm very serious about it. I mean, I'll play Gideon, eh? Like if they talk so much and they make me feel guilty, I go and ask God for days. I say, God, you have to show me red. No, honestly, the Spirit of God had to really go straight in my inside, wherever it is, and tell me, no, do not give it to these persons. Take that money and give it to this minister. If he wanted to buy a plane, especially since he has two already that is functioning and working properly, or you want to go and buy a yacht, I am not doing it. I really cannot, in my conscience, that is, I cannot do it. But it's not that I would hate anybody or even condemn people who do it, because I'm saying God speaks individually to us. And once we open ourselves, and so once we show that it's God saying the gentleman or the gentle lady asks, and you are led to do it. I do not really, say, oh God, you're stupid or whatever. But I know for me, I cannot do it unless God actually tell me in my extreme, I mean, I really had to go real far. I had to meet the king more than face to face, up close and personal. And then if he said, yes, do it, with whatever I have, I would do so. But other than that, no, I'm going to buy rice and flour and sugar and go out on Woodford Square, wherever it is, and give people, even, I mean, whomever, but I'm not going to do it. Because I really want to drive in a plane anyway. But that's it. So I just, to me, those are the thought patterns that I have in terms of giving. But I have one question that I want to ask. Is it bad, because I think that's where I kind of fault also, to accept people giving, especially when they're giving finance to me? I feel very guilty, and I don't want to accept it, especially when I think it's some persons who really need it to me more than I do. And I really don't know how to handle it. I mean, sometimes, well, when they force it on me, I take it, but I feel so wrong that I'm doing something that is not right. I'm accepting something, and I remember, because there was this old lady that I happily used to take to church, and without, I mean, even thinking. And one day she gave me $100, and it was the worst. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to. And she turned to me, she said, Violet, you don't want me to give me blessings? And that's how I took it. And then I put it in the visor of my car because I didn't even know what to do. You know,
You
I was
didn't?
feeling, no, I was feeling really, 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 you know, really. So I don't know, but I don't know how to deal with that. But because that's really my thing. I don't like when, especially when I'm doing it without even thinking of what, because I mean, I know, I believe that once I do it, I am going to get my reward. It is not no if, but so anything about it. I know that it will happen. But if to take it from people who I think need it more, it hurts me. And they really had to, you know, like literally, I tell her, she literally she had to turn to me and tell me if I don't want her to get a blessing. And that is when it, you know, the condemnation removed a little bit and I took it. But yet till I couldn't put it in my wallet, I put it in the vice of my car. And then I would drive in the gas station and put gas in the car with it. Okay.
Sister Val, let me ask you this. How would
Dr. Richard, they
you
have
feel?
two hands up, huh?
Okay, all right, go ahead. Go ahead. Let them go
Right.
ahead.
They have Reginald Jack.
And
Reginald, unmute yourself, Reginald Jack, and Debbie.
okay.
Good night to Dr. Richards, First Lady Nicole, Pastor, and other members of this wonderful Live Right family. On the question of should you give to those who already have, we have an example in the Bible here. If we turn to chapter 10 of First King, when the Queen of Sheba visited King Solomon, mind you, King Solomon was the richest king. And when the Queen of Sheba heard of his wisdom, you know, and his wealth, she visited King Solomon, and look what she gave the king with all his wealth. She gave to King Solomon that had so much. So I'm just showing you that as an example, you know, where we could give to people who already had. She gave to the richest man, you know. So that is what I have to contribute.
Thank you, Reginald. And as we said before, you know, it is a protocol. It has been the protocol. When you go before kings, let me just respond to Reginald a second.
Sure.
When you go before kings, you bring a gift, you walk with gifts. Right? That was part of the protocol. And so even a king or a queen in this instance, when you're going before a king or great man, you didn't go empty-handed. You go with gifts. All right? It is part of the protocol. All right? So yes, you know, those are instances where you give to those who already have. Who's the next person?
Debbie had her hand up, but it's down now. I don't know.
Okay, let me just respond a little bit to Sister Violet. One, Sister Violet, how would you feel if you're giving to somebody and they didn't want to take it? They refuse to take it because in their opinion, you need it more than them. How would you feel about that? All right, especially if it is in your heart to give to this person. Secondly, we need to understand what giving does. When someone is given and given genuinely from their heart, they are given with the knowledge that if they give, it will come back to them, good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over. Very often when we give, we think about giving away, you know, reducing what we have, but giving makes room for more. Giving is like investing. You get returns, and the returns is always more than the investment. So if someone is given to you, you might look at them and pity them and say, oh gosh, they don't have enough to give, and yet they're giving. But look, Jesus didn't stop the lady who put in all that she had. He pointed it out, he highlighted it. He could have said to her, ma'am, you don't have enough, you don't give. But no, he understood, and he realized that she understood the blessings of giving. So he allowed her to give what she had. So you don't refuse. A lot of times it's because, I'm not saying this is in your case, but certainly it was in my case. A lot of time you refuse because of pride. You refuse because, oh gosh, boy, you know, making me feel bad. They're giving me money. I should be giving them money, that kind of thing. And we have this kind of pride in terms of receiving. It took me years for me to start to accept things from people. It's even more difficult, not just accepting, but in asking. Look, for the past 2 nights, I have come before you all and said we would like you all to sow into the ministry. It wasn't easy to do that. It's very, very difficult to do that. But we understand that it is part of what God has called us to do. It is part of what we as a family are supposed to do, to give into the lives of those who are in the ministry and who are teaching. So, and as I said, I would have preferred if somebody else did it, but I had to do it. And I had to remove all pride and everything else that I was feeling and say it and do it. So a lot of times we don't accept things because of how it makes us feel. But it's not about feeling. It's not about feeling. So if somebody's blessing you and you think, hey, they need this more than me, God is going to provide for them. Once you, and listen, there are people, and I'm going to use a word here that may not sound too nice. There are people who extort money from people, you know. There are people who go on the pulpit and tell people, you know, you need to give even if it's your last. In fact, you know, I'm answering one of the questions that I wanted to ask you. You know, if when we are challenged to trust God and to return to us, but we realize that what we have, the seed we have, is to be sown into something else, like your rent or for your children. What do you do in instances like that? And some people, I have seen it, I've witnessed it over and over and over, where the minister, whoever it is, stands up and tells you, listen, God is going to return to you, he's going to bless you. Now, I have no problems with a minister challenging people's faith. I have no problem in challenging people to give, because sometimes that's what you have to do to get the person to trust God and to give. But I cannot stand here and make promises to you and say, if you give your money, even though your landlord is the end of the month, if you give your money, God is going to give it back to you. I can't promise you that. You have to know in your heart, if God has said to you, sow the seed and I will return it to you. If you are convinced that God is speaking to you, then you do it. But there are those of us who take people last cent. I told you all a couple of weeks ago about this man who was speaking to me, texting to me, and telling me if I, you know, that I could get a lot of money. Some of you have experienced that before. If I just send some money to him, and I am there and I'm thinking I'm talking to my friend and I'm telling him about the situation that we were in a real financial situation, and I'm pouring my heart out to him because he's my friend. And you would think that if this is somebody who is not my friend and who's trying to get money from you, when you hear that kind of story, you would say, well, oh God, no, don't bother, this is not real. But no, they don't care, no. They don't care if it's your last cent. They will still take it. They still want you to send it because they have trained themselves to separate themselves from that, to be numb to people who are in need. And I think a lot of us do it too, even in the kingdom. So we have to understand that there are some people who would give up their last because they have been encouraged to do so. But there are those who they know, listen, I know I don't have much, but I want to sow it. God is telling me to sow it. There are people like that. And you cannot refuse them when they are convinced that God is telling them to sow. You might look at them and pity them, but that's not the way God is seeing them. God is giving them an opportunity to be blessed. That's when it's God. So don't get mixed up with what I'm saying. I'm speaking two different things here. There are those who God says, sow it. You have little, but I still want you to sow little. The 1 talent I gave to you, do something with it. But then there are those who people tell them, sow it. It's your last, but still bring it. And God is going to, that's a different thing. That is a different thing. So don't feel anyhow when people are sowing into you, as little as it is. It doesn't matter. If somebody comes and give me $20, I would say thank you and God bless you. All right? Because you don't know what God, as the lady told you, Violet, you want to rub her of a blessing. So don't rob the people of the blessing when they sow into your lives. Amen. All right. And the little $5 and $10 to you that you see is just a $5 $10. It's plenty to them that you would like to. It's plenty. So they're sowing big. It might be small to you and to me, but they are sowing big. And God will bless them even bigger. All right. So, okay. So let's move on. We have what, about 10 more minutes or less than that. This one is, I think it's fairly straightforward. Do we sow into someone who might use it for something illicit, like going to buy drugs and buy, you know, or even buy cigarettes or to smoke and things? Would you give to somebody like that? What are your thoughts?
Excuse me, Dr. Richard, Sister Mala's hand is up.
Oh, Sister Mala, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, good night, Pastor. Good night, everyone.
Hi.
Pastor, I have a question to ask you. If you are sowing in people's life and how should I put it? You know, you're not looking for anything, but you know, you're looking for like you're not looking for anything in return, but you're looking for something from God in return, you know, salvation for your children. Like you want to grow spiritually, you want to hear the voice of the Lord, you know, you're sowing. Is that the way you sow?
Well, you took one of my questions, Mala, but this is what I wanted to ask. This is what I wanted to ask you. All right, because
I'm so sorry. Okay, so go right ahead, Pastor. I will listen now.
No. That's good. That's good. That's good. Do you sow to get a blessing? So you want your child saved, so you go and sow a seed, or you want your husband to come back home, you go and sow a seed, or you want your home, so you go and sow a seed. Is that something that you would ascribe to? I want to hear what people think. We don't have much time again, and I have a few more questions, but let's answer that. Let's answer that one.
Professor, good night. Good night. I'll take it at once. Good night. I'll take it fast before I'll leave again. Good night. Good night. Good night. This question. Now, this question, would you give it somebody, would you show to somebody who's going to take drugs and them kind of thing, right? Now, I will say no, right? Now, you'll ask me why you will say no. How you know the man going to buy drugs and them thing? Because, you know, he's a junkie, right? If you come and they say, well, can I have a $5? And you have to be careful how others ask you to it. They'll say, can I have a $5 to buy a cup of tea? You get a $5 cup of tea? So you say, okay, let me go and purchase one for you. I had a occasion when that the fella wanted a Subway. I in Subway, he said, auntie, you can give me $5 to buy a, no, yeah, you give me $5 to buy a cup of tea, please. I in Subway. I told him to watch him. I say, want a cup of tea? Yes, you give me $5. I went back by the cash, I said, could I have a cup of tea, please? And I carried it for him. The man watched the cup of tea like, come on, you wanted a cup of tea. So I will say no. Ask the person. They will come. They wouldn't say they want to buy a job. They will say they want something to eat. You want something to eat? Let me purchase something. I take care of them. Start to protest and they say no. I want the money. You don't know what's going on already, right? Does that make me a bad person? No. The question before, right? Would you give to somebody who already have them? Professor, you cannot answer the question too, right? Because let me tell you something. As I rightly say, it's a proud people outside here. Right, so you were watching. Now they say you're watching somebody, and you think, oh, they're driving a nice Lamborghini, and you know, and the house well furbished, your children going XYZ schools and them kind of thing. I wouldn't give to he. You understand? Because he look, you know, well off and them kind of thing. But it ever occurred to you that that person seen more trouble than any of us? That person too much of pride that you know they can't even the pride have them where they can't even ask. You understand? But they so seeing trouble that they want to silently screaming out, somebody help me, please. And you know, you will take it up, God will rest it upon your head because you know why, as a man of God, you know what Father God say. You understand? And you'll pick it up on your heart and you will go and give that person. They will say, I already wanted to know, but thanks anyway. And they will go inside there and rejoice. Does it ever occur to us that people are them silently screaming out, but pride will kill them? No.
The next question, answering to the next question, would you give to somebody who already have like the pastors and them who were saying, sow a seed and you will get, God say you will get this and God say you will get that. Hello, we reading the word of God. Okay? We are not no itchy ears looking for no sweet, honeycomb, sugarcomb words and everything. We know the word of God. So when you hear these kind of things, you said God will put it in your spirit and direct you who to give and who to go to. Right? So we ain't supposed to be caught up in these kind of things, So when you drive a jet plane and you get big as me, hello. We know the scriptures and we know what part of the scripture God tell us about these men that really look like the prospering. Right? But they are not, because of the end is what? The end of is destruction. We know about these things. So, I'm gone. Loving you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? All right, here what?
No.
Yeah. No? Okay, here's what. We're going to have to close it because I see it's 25 past already. And I really want us to answer that question that Marla asked. So, but we're going to do that tomorrow, God's willing. We're going to start off with that. And I want you to think about it. Do you give to get a blessing? Do you give so that certain things will happen? This is the question we are asking now. So I want you to think about it, maybe even pray about it, discuss it if you wish, and let's talk about that tomorrow. Tomorrow when we come, because folks, you see, these things are real things. These are questions people have and they're grappling with and want to know, and that's why we're discussing it here. That's why we're dealing with kingdom principles. We're teaching the principles of the kingdom so that we would be better. Not just better Christians, go to church and lift your hands, but a better man, a better woman, a better husband, a better wife, a better child, a better citizen, a better person all around. That's what we want, when we come off this platform. So let's talk about the things that really affect us from day to day. And that's one of the things. Do you give to get a blessing? Is that right? Is it wrong? Let's talk about that. So we're going to start off with that tomorrow night, God's willing, when we come back. But we have to close it off here tonight because I do not like to keep you late. Okay, so God richly bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening, for being a part of our family, for being part of what God is doing here. Folks, I'm excited. I'm excited because God, I am seeing, when Pastor Nicole and I talk, we see where God has taken this ministry. We don't have a vision yet of where he is going to take it in the end, but we are seeing the road ahead. He's expanding. He's doing so much. He's telling us, I want you to do this now. I want you to do that now. He's bringing in people who are passionate for him, not just passionate for the ministry, but passionate for him and who want to serve him. And, you are getting the opportunity to do that. That's what God is doing in this ministry. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to the 3 days of fasting because I know we're going to have some breakthroughs, some supernatural breakthroughs in those 3 days. If you want to be a part of it, prepare yourself. Even from now, as Pastor Nicole said, you're packing your suitcase to go to spend 3 days. Start packing. Don't wait until the last day to check to see if you have your plane ticket and make sure you have everything in place. Amen. So God richly, richly bless you. Thank you. I speak over you the blessings of God. I declare that tonight you shall have sweet sleep. And I declare that we will come back tomorrow, God's willing, to listen to sit at the feet of the Lord and hear from him. And please remember, folks, go on to YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and please pass on the videos to people, to your friends, your family, your co-workers, your loved ones. Send, and direct them to YouTube and to Live Right Ministries, because we want as many people to hear what God is saying. God bless you. God richly bless you.